Hitman Sakata completes honing his sword and drives off in his luxury vehicle in Shinjo City. Later, the Yakuza thugs tell their leader, Kawano, in a mansion by the beach that a new gang is attempting to take over the city. Kawano stabs one of his soldiers in the face after becoming enraged at their incapacity. Sakata, meantime, creeps about outdoors and defeats each guard that stand in his path. The men try to leave with Kawano through the door, but bodies block it, so they take him to the second floor instead. Kawano reaches his car, only to discover the driver is already dead. A mobster throws Sakata through a glass door after he has slashed a few more men. They engage in hand-to-hand combat. The man stabs Sakata after he collapses, but Sakata slices off his hand and lets him bleed to death on the ground. He then enters Kawano's bedroom and protects himself from Kawano's bullets by using the body of a thug. Sakata swiftly follows and murders the frightened Kawano as he attempts to flee through the balcony. When a criminal tries to shoot Sakata by surprise, he's killed first by Sakata's handler, Fujita. Sakata declines to retire when Fujita offers him money for the assignment on their way out, stating that his family comes first. Someone in the shadows sees all of this. Sakata then takes a shower before dinner and returns home to his wife, Aoi, and daughter, Ryo. Sakata hears his family yelling as he is changing, and he discovers some men in monster masks encircling them. They are grateful to Sakata for eliminating Kawano's gang. The man then begins assaulting Sakata on the ground. When Ryo pleads with the man not to harm her father, Aoi quickly moves to clear the path before sobbing and pleading for forgiveness. A man shoots her in the head because he is fed up with her sobbing. A man shoots the girl after a vengeful Sakata orders Ryo to flee. The gang leader claims that there is a demon in the city that possesses someone once every 50 years, while Sakata is having a breakdown. Sakata nevertheless vows to exterminate them all at some point. The man claims that they will hold off on shooting Sakata until that day. Speaking to the media 12 years later, Mayor Sunahara describes how he turned Shinjo City from a hazardous, criminally active neighborhood into a stunning hub of development. The leader of the group opposing the resort building is among the many persons who have gone missing and been killed in the past 10 years, and a journalist named Kamiyama tries to inquire about them all, but Sunahara claims it's all unfounded rumors. Sakata has been in a medical prison in a vegetative state in the interim. As evidence that the city isn't functioning as well as propaganda claims, Fujita arrives to pick him up when his sentence is finally done and takes him to an apartment in the slums. As the days go by, Sakata is looked for by Raj, a relative of Fujita. As they are making their way back to the apartment one evening, a criminal unexpectedly leaps on them and stabs Sakata in the arm while he is screaming his name. As it happens, this is the criminal whose hand Sakata severed years ago, and he seeks retribution, but Sakata remains unresponsive. Kamiyama is meeting with a man who has his face cut to inquire about the Kaimengumi at the same time. Kamiyama observes that the day of the attack coincides with the resort obtaining its business license, and the thug believes Sakata was employed by the Kaimengumi. Around the time Sunahara was elected mayor, all of this occurred. Kamiyama flees in terror when a masked man interrupts the talk by smashing the van's window. A second masked man removes the thug from the van as the first man chases after him and uses a hammer to kill him. The thug was then forced to commit suicide by the men who gave him a rifle and a hammer. Before they get a crucial call, they watch him die. While playing ping pong at home, Fujita is reflecting on the entire Sakata situation and how he alerted the Kaimengumi about the family, but they ignored his request that they not kill them. He receives a call with unexpected news at that same moment. At the hospital, Police Chief Kotaro comes to check on the victim of a hobo fight in the neighborhood. He gives the two guarding officers some money so they can take a break. Then he enters the room, revealing the victim is Sakata. Kotaro is now wearing a monster mask and asks Sakata if he recognizes him. Kotaro reveals as he receives an injection from his coat that he always felt they should have killed Sakata, but that 12 years ago, when the gang discovered he was still alive, Kotaro notices Sakata moving once more as he prepares to take a photo. Sakata catches Kotaro after he falls by accident, causing him to tumble and then choke. But Kotaro pushes Sakata away with a few objects, and then kicks him a few times to knock him unconscious. Kotaro must remove the mask to prevent the officers from shooting. When the guards turn around, Kotaro dons the mask once more and uses a cushion to muffle the sound as he shoots an officer in the face. Since the other officer is also a member of the Kaimengumi, he is not shocked. They also shoot the doctor after learning that he witnessed all of this. Sakata abruptly awakens and charges at Kotaro. The three of them fight as the officer, tries to protect his boss, who hits his opponent's head before attempting to choke him with the foreline. The officer falls and becomes trapped between the wall and the bed. Kotaro pushes the cop through the glass while defending himself. Sakata uses the bed sheets to strangle him. Sakata leaves the hospital, shocking Fujita and Raj when they get there. On his way out, he stops for some food, which feeds his desire for vengeance by bringing back memories of his family's deaths. The Kaiman Gumi, including the men who operate in the clandestine factory and move the girls for sale, learn about Sakata's comeback. Hearing this, the leader is ecstatic. Soon after, the Kaiman Gumi sends Fujita a note requesting that he bring them Sakata's corpse. Before Fujita and Raj depart, Sakata's body is placed in a bag while the gang drives to the factory. Sakata emerges, strikes a guard, and exits the area after the bag is placed on a conveyor belt. When Takamoto, the owner of the factory, witnesses Sakata fighting with several of his workers on camera, he alerts the gatekeeper, who then shoots the vehicle. Takamoto dons the mask that identifies him as one of the Sakata family's murderers after consuming his own product. Sakata, meantime, travels through the various sections of the plant, taking down any thug that stands in his way by crushing their heads against the wall. Sakata throws a knife to kill a worker. When a fellow worker in a cart starts shooting, Sakata leaps on him to stop the car and takes the gun to murder a couple more individuals. Sakata, still seeking retribution, keeps moving through a hallway and the stairs, killing every man who tries to stop him. He finds Takamoto outside, tapping a button on his phone. The building explodes at that precise moment, and the leader calls Takamoto to congratulate him on his accomplishment after witnessing the explosion. But as Sakata emerges from the building, shielding himself with a blanket, Takamoto ends the call. Another battle appears to be ready to start, but Fujita runs Takamoto over. Sakata doesn't think twice about shooting him when he apologizes to him for telling the Kaimengumi about his family. Takamoto merely laughs and swears allegiance to his boss as Sakata and begins beating him mercilessly. Sakata can hear the leader's voice as Takamoto's phone rings. When the leader discovers that his daughter is still alive, he angrily rips off Takamoto's mask. Mayor Sunahara emerges as the leader. Sakata must release Takamoto if he hopes to see his daughter once more. Still, Sakata murders Takamoto. Reporters discuss all of last night's attacks in the morning and accuse Sakata of being responsible for them. Kanta, another of the disguised guys, is keeping an eye on Ryo, who is now a teenager. He received a call from Sunahara, who gives him instructions to locate Sakata, who has been hiding since the tragedy. When policeman Takigawa arrives to his flat in a low-class neighborhood, he discovers the window has been opened before Sakata startles him. As it happens, Sakata saved Takigawa's life many years ago, and ever since, the officer has been giving him information. Sakata is shown a video by Takigawa, showing the Kaimengumi murdering the CEO of a security firm. He has the victim's finger as well. That business is now in charge of the new resort security. Sakata proceeds to the security company's headquarters after robbing Takigawa of his gun, where he murders thugs on each story until he finds a tiny dwelling area. Sakata discovers a board with numerous photos of his daughter, with Kanta pretending to be her father, while Ryo hides behind a couch. When Kanta enters at that point, the males start fighting right away. Before attempting to shoot Sakata, Kanta retaliates by striking him with a table, but Sakata avoids him and begins battling him for the gun. Sakata ultimately recognizes this as the man who killed his wife when Kanta criticizes him. Sakata is ready to stop this since the gun is jammed, but Ryo returns and calls Kanta father before shooting Sakata with her school bow. Before Kanta shoves him out the window, the arrow strikes Sakata in the chest. Then Kanta notices Sakata fleeing in a car as he glances out. As it happens, Takigawa is escorting Sakata to a secure location so he may extract the arrow and tend to the wound. Sunahara calls Takigawa at that precise moment after spotting him on the cameras and requests that he provide Sakata the phone. Sunahara then instructs Sakata to visit the resort if he wishes to see Ryo once more. Sakata drives to his hiding place to retrieve his old blade and expensive car, disregarding his injuries. Ryo, meanwhile, is imprisoned in a resort room. As a diversion, Sakata's empty car emerges outside, and he enters covertly to begin murdering thugs with his sword and the firearms he seizes from the deceased men. Sakata continues to push through the discomfort till he meets Kanta. At first glance, it appears that the men's fighting abilities are comparable. Kanta laments that Sakata appears just as Ryo's body is beginning to take shape as he expertly avoids attacks, Sakata halts Kanta's attempt to knife him. After stealing the sword, Sakata stabs Kanta in the eye and then strikes him in the skull, knocking him unconscious. He is startled to see Ryo in a room, who is unfamiliar with him. Because of this diversion, Sakata is knocked unconscious by Jin, the final masked man. Shortly after, Sakata is brought to Sunahara, who shares the city demon mythology with Ryo. Sunahara prepares his sword to kill Ryo because he wants Sakata to turn into that demon, but Takigawa enters with guns blazing. When Ryo's name is called, Sakata recalls the day of the incident and learns that her toy was struck by the bullet. While Sakata battles Jin, who wields a metal staff, she flees to hide with Takigawa. Sunahara comes back to observe how effortlessly Jin subdues Sakata. But after much effort, Sakata manages to knife Jin before hurling him onto the stairs. When Sunahara removes Jin's disguise, it becomes clear that he is his twin brother, although with a facial burn. Ryo chooses to return for her father as Takigawa tries to exit the building with her. Sunahara dons his mask and wields his sword to battle Sakata. Sunahara may easily slash Sakata repeatedly till he amputates his free hand because Sakata is already severely injured. Sakata continues to pull his feeble body in order to launch additional attacks. When Sunahara sees that Sakata has really turned into the city's monster, he gets aroused even though he blocks all of his attacks. Sakata takes advantage of the surprise attack and simultaneous stabbings by both men to reveal Sunahara's identity and ultimately kill him with a hit to the head. Sakata discovers Ryo witnessed everything as she rolls down the stairs. When she makes an attempt to approach, Kanta reappears to shoot Sakata. Ryo, who doesn't want to be around him anymore after remembering that he killed her mother, rejects Kanta's attempt to get back together. Sakata finally uses his blade to slay him when he pleads for her attention. Sakata passes away after collapsing in Ryo's arms and saying a few kind words. After a while, the police, firefighters, and medical professionals show there to collect all of the dead and injured. Jin is still alive and is one of these bodies. Despite being instructed to wait in the ambulance, Ryo flees while everyone is preoccupied. After a year, Jin poses as his brother and wins the election by appealing to people's pity for his scar. Jin dons the leader's mask and conducts a rite in a forest temple following an interview. Ryo then appears and kills Jin by shooting him with several arrows. She then departs in her father's car, where she sees a photo of the family. Movie ends here.